does. Okay, so I skipped ahead to reflex just to give you the complete picture, myotome, dermatome, reflex. Let's go back and test the other myotomes though, and then I will have actually finished my physical exam of her neck. The biceps does elbow flexion, so does the brachialis, so does the brachioradialis, but those are three muscles that flex the elbow with slightly different positions of the forearm. Myotomal weakness is not a specific, or myotomes are not a specific muscle. They're defined by a motion, right? So that's the shoulder abduction motion, okay, that I tested. It's a bunch of muscles that all do that, okay, all supplied by the same predominantly C5 nerve root, okay? Next is elbow flexion. So this is the easy one to explain to patients. I'm going to stabilize her upper arm, and I'm going to say do a biceps curl while I resist, okay? So go ahead, okay, and I try to resist that. And this one, she can contract quite hard. I'll say, go ahead, give it your all, because it's powerful muscles, and I really want to make this a sensitive test. If I don't ask her to contract really firmly, she might have a little subtle weakness that I won't pick up. But I'm going to ask her, just go ahead and overpower me. How do you compensate for this if I'm like, okay, I'm small and weak and frail, my patient is big and strong and healthy and young and everything, etc. You can make this what's called an eccentric contraction. You can start up here and say, hold it there, I'm going to try to pull down, because eccentric contraction, eccentric means the muscle it's the same muscle doing the same thing, it's just decelerating elbow extension, right? Okay, so this is the difference between, I'm going to pick up a heavy box with my biceps muscle, and I know how much force to exert. If it's too heavy, I just won't pick it up, right? You know, it's just like, okay, I can't move it. You know, something wrong up here if you try to pick it up so hard that you actually tear your biceps muscle, okay? But somebody hands you a heavy weight, you're trying to move furniture and something's sliding off the back of a truck, and you're trying to stop that sofa from dropping on your foot. You may not be able to do that because but you're going to try, you're going to use the same muscle to decelerate that heavy weight that's about to fall on your foot, and it works the muscle much harder. The muscle is much more likely to be torn, and you're not in complete control of it. Does that make sense? You understand that difference? So this is called a concentric, and this is called an eccentric, where I'm trying to decelerate and trying to not drop the sofa on my foot by using an eccentric contraction of the same muscle. Okay? So this is how, say I'm smaller and weaker than my big burly patient, I'm going to start up here and say, I want you to stop me from straightening out your arm. Okay? And she can do it. And it's pretty surprising, if you do this manual strength testing reliably, you'll find that little 95-year-old lovely little woman and your 22-year-old big burly guy who works out all the time, they can put up a hell of a lot of resistance. An uninjured muscle, you basically won't be able to break their resistance if there's no injury to it in general. And it's really quite surprising. Your other hand, so you're not testing, I don't want to test your torso. If I just say, do a biceps curl, and while I resist with both hands here, go ahead. What I'm going to do is I'm going to end up pulling her over, right? And I'm testing all kinds of muscles in her torso, and I'm not isolating elbow flexion. So I'm going to stabilize and isolate with one hand while I ask her to do elbow flexion. And then if I want to do the eccentric contraction, it's the same hand position. So I saw a little bit of this, switching over and saying, go ahead and straighten your elbow out. You just jump the gun to the next test, which is elbow extension, right? Can you see the difference there? So I'm trying to stop, I'm trying to straighten. I am trying to extend her elbow, but she's resisting using her elbow flexors, right? Not testing testing the biceps, but I'm also testing every elbow flexor here. And then now let's move on to elbow extension, right? Which is our next myotomal motion, which is in this case accomplished simply by the triceps. That's the only muscle that extends the elbow. There's a little tiny muscle called the anconeus that I never think about. But so go ahead and straighten your elbow out while I resist. Okay, so now I'm testing I'm resisting elbow extension and testing that much. So I'm going to ask her to cock her wrists up like this and hold them stiff and steady. Again, I want to isolate the forearm, and I'm going to push down on her wrist while she resists. Okay? You might think these are small muscles down the wrist. Again, they can put up a tremendous amount of resistance. So I want you to keep and she's actually having a little trouble with that one, because we're getting close now to the myotomes we know are more injured for her. Okay? Keep your wrist curled under while I try to straighten it out. This one fires right away. Whereas this one, she was kind of like trying to figure out what I was doing, and there was some kind of ratcheting, and so yeah, and actually I can overcome her resistance on this side. Does that hurt?
Doesn't hurt.
Doesn't hurt. Not a good sign, right? Right, is the exact opposite of what our patients are thinking and what our instinctive, like, oh, pain bad, no pain good, right? Okay, not good. Okay, so that's C7. Okay, and then C8 is holding the fingers together, finger adduction. Now, here we finally reached a place where everyone's going to be able to overpower their partner, right? Even if you're small, weak, and frail, you've got a big, burly patient. These are tiny little muscles. So what I'm really looking for is how fast does the finger snap back into position. Sure, I'm going to be able to pull it away, but if that myotome is functioning properly, that finger is going to snap back right as soon as I let it go. So I'm looking for kind of a snappy, and that's maybe a little slow. I have to compare it to the other side. Okay, hold your fingers together really firmly. That one I can't pull apart as easily, and it doesn't. And this one snaps back right away. This one I can pull it farther away, and is a little bit slower and weaker to go back into position. I don't know if you can see it from the screen. Weak. So spread your fingers apart like this. I'm going to try to squeeze them together. It's a little bit weaker on this side. It's pretty subtle, but it doesn't feel too bad.
Would you do each finger just the pinky on that adduction?
Yeah, I'm doing just because I'm really testing out here. I'm just using this other side kind of for, as a gauge. But this finger, try to spread that finger apart out on that side. Yeah, it's a little weaker and easier for me to squeeze together. This side, there's definitely more resistance.